it wasn't enough. Like,
We have a secretary today? Or no, probably not, huh?
Is John
I mean,
is
on the
John
flip
gonna be
side,
here now?
the thing is, you
John's
have your,
not gonna be
you
here?
have your
It is just
program.
us, no.
And you're not, like, a difference than I have to, I use a PDF because I don't have a program for this, right? So I use a PDF. And then I fill in the PDF. But those guys just have to drop in, like, 4 numbers, and they get all 3 returns, right? Pretty much.
Let's hope so.
Okay.
I know. I mean,
How you doing, Joe?
yeah, exactly. Whatever.
Just hot.
Whatever.
Tired and hot.
What?
It's a new year for us, so.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We ready?
But,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Our big audience. Thanks, Rania, for being here.
Welcome to the Measure Q Citizens Bond Oversight Committee for Wednesday, July 18th, 2018. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Call to order.
No.
We'll start with the roll call. Robert Strong is absent. Pat Smith will serve as chair for this meeting. Present. Jack Caldwell.
Here.
Andrea Kett.
Here.
Julie Mustard.
Here.
Georgette Portier.
Here.
Gary Riddle.
Here.
I will accept a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Move to adopt the agenda for tonight's meeting.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So unanimous for adoption of the meeting. Let's move on to 1C, approval of the minutes. They were posted. I hope folks had a chance to take a look at them. Okay, no comments? Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, passed unanimously. We have nothing on the consent calendar. Moving on to the agenda. 2A, approval of draft letter sent to school board regarding the audit report. So, subcommittee met last week Monday and agreed to work from the letter that was drafted at the end of March. I think it was March 28th. The subcommittee agreed to reformat that letter, and you should have a copy at your workstation. Basically, all we did was just edit the intro paragraph and the conclusion paragraph. The 4 items were basically left verbatim, save for a few punctuation corrections. So, if possible, I would like to get signatures, and I can send it as a PDF to the school board this evening or first thing in the morning, if that is the wish of the committee. Remember from the last meeting, we were directed by the district's legal staff to formally vote on, and if it passes, then send the letter for the school board so they can formally act on it. There has been a lot of back and forth discussion on this, so it's not going to be a surprise to the school board, and they do have a copy of the 4 items from the financial audit and performance audit that we would like addressed, albeit they don't have the official letter because it won't be official until we either accept it or vote it down tonight. So, any discussion on that?
And you still want me to address this to the school board?
We are up, both you, Gary, and I are on the agenda as representing the Citizens Bond Committee for tomorrow night school board.
You know, there's following this item, there is a related item. The board is presenting various things about Measure Q and our role and various things. And I've expressed some pretty, strong opinions of how I believe, that this is an independent committee. I wrote a letter back in February that we never sent to them, and I expressed them, and also the letter that I sent addressing the district's letter, and this committee never, voted or made any approval to forward that to the district. And I want to know if this comes up and I address that issue, that we're like mine on this committee of what our role is and that we are independent, and there isn't any defined scope. If it pertains to Measure Q, then we have authority to look in or ask for anything that pertains to the Measure Q. And I think I'm pretty sure this is going to come up, and I think it's important for us to come to an understanding with the board. They may not come to full agreement, but we are an independent body, and we'll write our report the way we want, and we'll pursue things we want. So, if there's any one that doesn't agree with that, I'd like to know. I don't want to speak as if I'm representing this committee if I'm not.
No, I totally agree with you. We are independent, and when we do ask for whatever documentation that we're looking for, it's to the district's best interest to provide it to us. But if they do not provide it to us, like I said, we should just be factual and state to the public that, we did request, we didn't receive, or we did receive, and here's our review or whatnot. But I totally agree that, any documentation that we need that pertains to Measure Q, we should be able to request for those. So.
And, in the various discussions with the school board and the letters back and forth, we have to be unified and clear and have item on the school board agenda so they can act on it one way or the other. They don't act on it the way we think is appropriate. We may not have a lot of leverage after that fact, but it's something that can go in the year-end report, and we can let the community know. We're an oversight committee. We don't have a lot of authority to mandate stuff, but we can certainly report on it. But I think we got messed up, and letters flying around that weren't voted on at this table. So I think we just have to be a little more careful, and that's why I think this will be our first attempt at that. I went back to the original document and didn't deal with all the back and forth after the fact. So it's kind of like starting over. And unfortunately, we're a little bit behind the time curve at this point, because a lot of this stuff, refers to meetings in January and February of this year. So, it's a learning process for us, and it's a learning process for the school board, and they freely admitted, they've made several mistakes. And that's fine. We're all going to make mistakes.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So with that said, then I would be in agreement to pursue this path, and I think it's the right way to do it, because just as you've said, people make mistakes, learning curve for us, learning curve for them, but at least it's culminated into a reasonable size document that we can, report our findings, put it on record. I'm all for that. So,
Okay.
And thanks for your subcommittee for doing all this work. Thanks to you.
So you did, it's an agenda item, not just a committee report
So,
at the school board, I'm sorry.
yes, it is an agenda item for discussion and action for them tomorrow night.
Okay.
And Gary and I are going to represent, and if other members want to attend, that'd be great.
Okay, super.
Where's the location of the school board meeting here?
Yes.
Okay,
And that's why we have this meeting tonight,
yeah.
sped up a little bit from our regular schedule, so we can vote on this one way or the other, and
Okay.
then they'll have something they can take formal action on tomorrow.
And what time is the meeting, Tab?
School board meetings are usually at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Gary, did you pull their agenda for tomorrow?
I've got,
I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
yeah, I did. You know, it doesn't say the time, but
It says 7:30,
7:30?
but let me confirm that. Yes, 7:30.
I'm going to be gone.
It says they meet at 7 o'clock, but the calendar specifically says 7:30 for tomorrow.
That's strange.
Yeah.
I've gone to school board meetings, they always start at 7.
Yeah, no, it's
That
on the
sounds-
agenda and everything.
maybe they're having a closed meeting or something.
I'm just going to put down 7.
Yes, they do at 6.
Oh, it's 6.
The closed session, yeah. Okay.
So we need to, the motion needs to be made to approve this document.
If we're done with
To
the
take to-
discussion,
Yeah, okay.
are we done with the discussion?
I have nothing further.
So are we asking for an action from the board, or are we just providing information, this letter? Because there's a difference between us being under reports, I guess, or what is it?
So this is on their agenda for discussion and action, and the letter states that we wish them to review these 4 concerns that we have, acknowledge them, and in the bottom paragraph I said, investigate, what can be done feasibly at this point. It may be impossible to make changes to the audit report because it's so late,
Of course, yes.
but just asking them to investigate and determine what can be done.
I think we were thinking because it was previously just as a committee report or as, we just had a representative there speaking,
Mhm.
they couldn't respond back. So this way, as an agenda item for them tomorrow, there's able to be a discussion, if need be.
So I'm just looking at the agenda for tomorrow, and we're under communications, a 3-minute report, of course, our committee, and then later on it goes to information, discussion, and action. We're under item 8.2, financial and performance audit. However, if you look at the attachment they've included as part of the agenda item, it's the older version of
Yes,
this. So
because
that's okay?
that's okay because we can't add anything till we vote on it tonight.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So I told John Calise that that older letter captures the 4 items of concern, so they have a heads up. But this just rewrote it in a more formal manner directed to them, not the audit team. The first letter was addressed to the audit team and not the school board.
Got it. Okay. But do you need everybody's signature before tomorrow, or we're just telling them we're in the process of, because with Robert not being here?
If the committee, if the CBOC passes it tonight, that will count as, a legal action. I just think it looks cool, if we get signatures.
Awesome.
So we'll want to take one and everybody sign it after we pass it.
Right, and if Robert can, sign it, scan it, send it as a PDF, I can rescan it with his signature in too.
Okay. Yeah, I think let's just go ahead and formalize it and send it on.
Sounds like a motion.
Sounds like a motion.
And I'll second that.
You'll second it?
Yeah.
So we'll have a vote on submitting this letter regarding the audit report to the Dixon Unified School District for their discussion tomorrow. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I missed public comment?
Oh. No, it's okay. We can hear you. The CEQA.
And then it's A2 who talks about the audit and stuff. There's two items on the agenda for tomorrow.
Yeah, it says A1 pertains to CEQA that John Calise is supposed to report. No? Yeah.
Yeah.
But your point is,
Two items addressing this, but maybe I will.
Currently, just one.
well, A1 discusses CEQA, then we come in as part of the CBOC. Yeah. And then item B1 is from Melissa Mercado regarding the audit.
Right.
That's
yeah,
after us.
Right, B1.
All right, for clarity, the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? No one. So it passed unanimously 6-0 for the record. Okay.
Sign one and start it moving down that way?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Moving on to agenda item 2B, elections. So in our bylaws, the appointment as chair and vice chair runs for 1 year, and that's up for elections. We've actually been a committee for 1 year. Robert has indicated that, he will not seek the chair position because of his work conflicts. So both chair and vice chair are up for election tonight.
So I would like to nominate Tad Smith for chair, and I hope you're agreeable to that because you've been doing excellent as vice chair and stand-in chair, and so anyway, that's my nomination for chair.
Thank you, Jack.
You're welcome, Tad.
I second that nomination. I don't know what our protocol is.
Probably we should have asked if you'd accept the nomination then,
Yeah.
but
Any other potential candidates for chair?
Volunteers?
You've been doing a fine job.
Hearing none, I will accept your nomination.
thank you.
Thank
Mo-
you. Yes.
Moving on for vice chair, and obviously an extremely important role because you may find yourself in the position I found myself in of not expecting to have to run things, but you end up having to run things. So
That's why we have a vice chair.
that's why we have a vice chair.
So I would ask Georgette if she would be willing to accept nomination for vice chair.
Is there anybody else that wants to step up? Because I'm really busy.
If not, my other
Gary, would you
ask
like
would be
to,
Gary. Yeah.
Yes.
I think you'd be do great in that job.
Maybe the following year.
That wasn't quite the answer, the question. Okay. That would be a different question.
Yeah.
My second nomination would be for Gary for vice chair, if you would accept the nomination.
He will.
I second that.
Yes. You have no choice.
Yeah, I would. I'd accept.
Great.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
Gary.
Tad.
Thank you, Tad.
Okay, so that concludes the elections for chair.
Well, wait a minute, did we get consensus on that?
All right,
I mean,
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we vote or
yes.
do we motion or what is it?
it's agreement of the committee.
Yep.
And from what I hear, it sounds like the committee has agreed.
Sounds pretty
Yeah.
agreeable.
Got more
right?
than 3, right?
Yeah.
Get your big stipend at the end of the night.
All right, so I'll serve as chair and Gary will serve as vice chair for the next year.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much.
Committee assignments, I do appreciate the work that the website committee, email committee. What's the official term for that?
I think we were calling it website committee. No,
Website.
I'd like to continue with that because
Okay.
he started it. Yeah,
Okay,
And I
yeah.
need to
Just
do
'cause
more, but
to
yes,
keep-
I'm happy to.
Keep going with it, absolutely.
okay. And then we have the audit committee and,
Well,
and
What do we
contract.
call contracts review committee?
Contract
subcommittee?
review.
Yep.
Yeah, you were, Georgette, you were in charge of the contract review.
Not in charge, but Gary and I.
On the committee, on the committee,
on the-
on the committee.
She's in charge.
Yeah, right.
But no, I'd like to still be part of that committee.
And Gary?
I've been a little frustrated on that committee, not with Georgette, with the documentation available from the school, but I'll still work on it, yeah. And there's a place for a third person that wants to be involved there.
I'd be willing to be the third person. Otherwise, I'm the odd person out with no committee
we'll come up with a
membership.
title.
We'll
For
make
you.
a committee for you.
Now, as long-
You'll come up with a title for me? did you
Come
say?
in with a committee.
Okay. But anyway, I'm available, so, you
As
know.
long as we don't have a majority of the members on a committee, we're okay.
Yes, so 3 is okay. All right.
Three's okay?
Okay.
Okay.
So just for my clarification for the website, we have Andre and Julie. And then for the contract committee, we'll have Georgette, Gary, Jack.
Yes.
Okay. And did we have any other committees, or was it just those two?
I think that's it, right?
Well, there's an audit committee,
For the audit report.
Okay.
and
But you guys last.
as you know, the vice chair is, by our bylaws, is a member of the audit committee. But, and there's some other duties there too. But anyway,
So it sounds like, Gary, you're it? With,
With the
in the
audit
audit committee.
well,
Kind
You
of
know-
done and
As
done.
the vice chair.
since we formed that committee, one of our silent members down there, I learned, had some audit experience and,
Oh, this silent one right
it's-
here?
Really?
It's like you're voting
So
for
much for
me.
the silence.
All right.
Only worked so long.
Inactive, it says.
Okay, so, Ms. Andrea?
Yeah,
is that-
I can help, yes.
And then is there a subcommittee to do the annual report?
No, I think it's
Is it
all
just-
of us, and then there are each committee.
We're going to feed
will
into
be
that.
yeah,
Okay,
right,
Yeah, we'll get that. That's down in
the next.
item E
okay.
later on. Okay. I've neglected to ask the public for comment so far. Anything? Okay. Okay.
Awesome.
is that plural or singular?
Not sure. Depends on how you look at it.
We need to get some, how they call those?
Blow-up dolls?
Inflatables and
Yeah.
places when the
Those
cameras.
little signs with people's
Yeah.
names on them.
Okay, moving on to 2C, committee response to emails from the public regarding our function on the CBOC. So we have our Gmail account set up, and you saw we got a interesting email from one person complaining about the website. And I didn't respond, and I thought this would be a good time to discuss how we handle things. I suspect we'll get more emails in the future. We had talked about having the chair and vice chair delegate out responsibilities for responding to emails, but it wasn't really clear to me how we decided that. I couldn't remember, and I didn't want to go back and review 3 hours of tape looking for one section.
I don't know if we ever discussed that.
I think we made a final decision.
Okay.
Well, shouldn't it depend on the topic? Like,
It's right, but one person would have to receive it and say, this belongs to the website committee, or this goes to contracts, or this goes to audits, or the chair ought to take it, or the vice chair ought to take it. We need a mechanism for responding.
trolling, yeah.
And I talked to some of the city council meetings members, and they said oftentimes when they get an email that's not so nice, they just say thank you for your input and just drop it. because the last thing you want to do is go back and forth for a long
Right.
period of time. But in this case, I talked to some folks in the school district, and they say they've been actively working on getting their website better, and that numerous things have happened in the last week. I didn't go and check to see that person's list of things that were wrong and see if they were still wrong. You indicated it looked like it was working now.
I did. And I was getting my Gmail. It wasn't feeding into my emails also, so I went back and that email came through like a week and a half ago maybe. So it was the first time I had seen it. But I went through and tested it, as I told you, like on a Mozilla
Yeah.
Firefox, and every tab seemed to work correctly. So, but again, I was just going to mention kind of like our response to the school board tomorrow, that we all just need to have that general consensus. I mean, it would be easy for any one of us to respond to that, but I think we need to speak for all of us because we're all addressed in there.
Right, and that's
Send it
the
to
thing.
everyone.
I don't want to put out my opinion and then have it be different from
Right.
other people's opinion. So in this case, I would suggest you respond to the gentleman, say corrections have been made. Are you still having these problems? And if he would engage in another email saying, well, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, then we can follow up on it. But
Okay.
So
We can- the two of
our-
us
the
can-
website committee will.
website committee will
Respond.
address that one,
Okay,
please.
we'll work together for.
And going forward, I would propose that I look at the emails and assign them to committee members.
Okay.
And then that way we know someone is tasked with it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And then when we respond, we blind copy everyone?
Yes.
That's, we're not
Yes.
violating anything by doing that. And then everybody knows that we've responded to it.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah. Perfect.
thank you.
All right. So this was not an action item, this was just for discussion. I think,
Maybe they should also just add there that our meetings are also posted, and if there's specific areas that are going to be on the agenda, then tell the person, to invite them down. But,
Okay.
because sometimes you get shadow people out there that will send in things, and they, for whatever reason, and if they're really serious about this committee and as a citizen, like them to come here.
Okay.
It's their committee if they're a
Right.
citizen of this town.
and the other thing I would say is for some of those issues, we don't have a budget, we don't employ staff, we can't interface with the school board's website, so some of that responsibility does fall on the Dixon Unified School District.
That's it too, like some of the questions, one of them was asked how much it costs to make that video that starts out in the beginning, so we would have to get an answer from John Calise.
I wouldn't
I
even
just-
attempt that. I would say that,
Refer.
Forward that to the school district.
yeah, or just
Yeah.
respond, that is not an expenditure from this committee. We do not have a budget.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah.
That it was produced by the school district.
Yes,
Yes.
Do we have a mission statement?
yes.
Yes. we
Okay.
do.
So our mission statement's rather clear regarding what our mission is. Should we refer some of these types of inquiries to review our mission statement, and then please forward your, please address your question or concern to whomever, wherever.
And the other thing, we need to get our mission statement on our website.
That's kind of
it's
what I
there.
was.
It's
Is
there.
there?
It should be there.
Okay,
It's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, I've seen it there.
all right.
So Tad, I just want to confirm, so the process is when we receive emails, the chair, should be the one responding to the person that's requesting and say this, or how is-
No,
how is
I
it
will
again? I'm sorry.
delegate. I will look at if
Oh,
it's
just let it
copied,
straight to
yeah, if it's
delegate.
copied to
Okay.
everyone on the committee, I will delegate it to
The
The right
appropriate committee.
the right committee to
Subcommittee.
work, right subcommittee to work on.
Okay.
If you, as an individual, get one just directed to you, I would strongly suggest you forward it to me, the chair, and I can see what it is and then maybe forward it on to the appropriate subcommittee for response. What I don't want to happen is, email goes to Georgette only and Georgette responds and no one else knows what happened. That would be really bad.
Yeah, no, it's good to have a single point of contact.
Yes.
Then it can flush out.
Yeah.
Then it can come back. So thanks for doing that.
Hopefully it will not be too onerous.
Hopefully.
So that email that went out, who's going to respond to that? The website committee?
Yes,
One of the ladies will respond?
yes, or both.
Both, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay. It's just awkward. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's all our addresses.
Urania has a question
Yes.
or a comment.
Yeah.
They brought you a
A
microphone.
public comment.
Oh, did you bring her?
I think your decision to direct the response to somebody, it's perfect, because if each one of you individually responded to all, then you are initiating a serial meeting. And so you don't want to do that. One thing that I want to point out, when I saw the agenda, I was about ready to send to the school district, but then I thought, oh, it's always me, so let somebody worry about this. The Brown Act, Government Code 54957.5, says any material that will be discussed in a public meeting shall be available for public inspection. So that email should have been part of your agenda as an attachment,
Oh, okay.
okay?
Okay.
Okay.
And you probably find out tomorrow, but the school district never provides backup materials of agenda items, and they have claimed, I don't know, that's going to be, but the law requires. So, as you say, there is agenda. That's why I thought A1, because I've been dealing with A1 all day. The DUDAC report, the school district has no authority to make a decision tomorrow on the DUDAC report because they did not provide the traffic study on, on when they posted the agenda. And so our attorney representing the Solano County Taxpayers Association sent them a letter today. In fact, he made me come to the school district, ask for the DUDAC report, and they told me, oh, we don't have any hard copies. And so how people that interested will know that, oh, we want to go to the school board meeting to address this issue, make our comments, or so we'll see what's going to happen tomorrow. But the school district needs to learn, if they don't want to have any litigation, that when they post agendas, the backup material becomes part of that agenda. And if you look at the city council's agenda, even if a document is 100 pages long, they have it part of, you can print it on the internet if you want, or you can read it. So maybe I'll approach John Calise and tell him in the future anything that it's part of the CBOC's agenda should include the backup material to avoid. It's not, it's not your fault. I'm just telling you, how things need to be done.
No, it's good to know. And then, so that person's email, would it be redacted? Do they, or?
Yeah, you could redact his email address,
Okay.
but the email should be part of,
The context of it.
Context.
Okay.
anything. And if you also look, besides the Brown Act, if you look at Ed Code, and I cannot remember, it says anything that the CBOC receives, it becomes a public record and is supposed to be posted in your website. So it's
Okay.
okay,
good
but
to know.
your idea to have some, two people only reply.
Yeah.
3 be okay, but after 3, it's
Stretching it.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that was a interesting insight. Thank you. Any other comments on the responding to public emails?
I guess just clarification, and maybe somewhere on our site that, like on there where it shows all our email addresses. I mean, if we do have to redact it, or if people are going to write in to let them know that it's public information, I don't know if we start.
I know.
People would know.
So are you saying
I'm
with
not
the,
sure about that, actually, if people would know.
Maybe just a little caveat under here that
Yeah, we can have
if
them add it.
we have to provide that we would just add a sentence in there that, we would redact the name, but the content of it will be public information.
I suspect you might get an argument from some people about redacting the name.
Yeah.
But the Public Records Act gives authority to do that.
Okay.
to redact?
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
Why would you want to?
Well,
privacy?
Privacy.
yeah.
For them?
Yes.
Well, let's say that I, sent an email that became public record, and now my email address is on there, and then I get bombarded, or how do they say it? My email blows up. So it might not be so much a privacy issue as a damage to your email function.
So is it redacting the
The
screen name of the person, or is it redacting just their email address?
Email address.
I think the email
Just the
address
email
at a minimum,
address.
right?
Well, then
Yeah.
that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, and then if they don't want their name shown, then they can sign it anonymous.
Okay, so I would put this to the website committee to ask if we can put a little disclaimer that your comments are deemed public, although we will redact your email address.
If you want me, I can send you, the code is pretty big, but I can just take parts of the code and send it to you, and then you can, the code says, the Brown Act says this, and the Ed Code says this, so we have to, anything, becomes a public record.
Yep.
And to tell you the truth, I'm really glad you guys finally have an email address for only the CBOC business, because if anybody can put a public records request, and they can go in your personal email address and say, well, we want to see any communications between the CBOC and, I don't know, this person from January 1st to now. And so
Yeah.
you didn't have an email address just for CBOC before
Right, that was,
last month, and then you get your email address, your personal email address all messed up.
yeah, that was the, that occurred with the wastewater committee, which was what I had referred to at a previous meeting, so, yeah. Now, should we also offer the person sending us the email the option of having their email address displayed? If somebody actually wanted that, then should we put on there, we will redact your email address unless you direct us otherwise?
Upon your request. We could redact it upon
Something
your
like that.
request.
I don't know. Maybe that's too deep in the weeds, but just, it was a thought.
I wouldn't want my email address on the website.
I
even
wouldn't
though
either,
If you
but-
Google me, you will know everything about me, so.
I think as policy, we just ought to remove
Stick with what we got.
the
Okay.
email addresses.
Yeah, if they want to come forward and identify themselves, they can come to a public meeting and
That's right, Gary.
they'll be on television.
Yeah.
Okay, last call to continue discussion of the email issues.
I don't know. I don't know if it's part of item C, but you know how we discussed item B, and now we have a new chair and vice chair. The website says otherwise,
Mhm.
so I don't know if that's where we talk about replacing the names on the website.
Yeah, they'll
I'm
have,
not sure.
that'll have to be
Oh,
done as soon as
okay.
possible.
Okay, so update the,
I wasn't sure if that was the,
No, no, that's fine.
We can get into some of the other stuff when we get to the subcommittee reports.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to 2D, approval press release style summary of the CBOC actions as interim report. So I regret I don't have a press release summary for approval tonight. I wanted to link that to our walkthrough of the future middle school.
That sounds good.
I've been in email contact with John Calise. He says the only date that he can do it is July 31st, and that is a date that the committee at the last meeting indicated too many people would miss. The other date, August 7th, that he offered is now unavailable. So the only date we have out there is next, is it next week Tuesday? No, I guess a week from next Tuesday, the 31st. Who can make it? Anybody?
So the 31st of July, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
so did he say that it was just available for us at night? I mean, can we request to do it on a separate occasion during the daytime? I understand it was at those dates because it was after hours.
Correct. So those were
Like,
dates.
I really want to go. I mean, I'll go during work hours if I need to. I don't want to miss out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
With this phase right now. So.
Yep.
the 31st? Are you available on the 31st?
No, I'll be in Hawaii actually.
Good for you.
No, I'm not.
So John did say, later on, he would be happy to take folks tour that missed the first one.
Okay.
So that wasn't something we wanted to ask for, but it is available. So who can make it on the 31st?
I can after
That's-
6:15.
Okay,
That's
So-
a Tuesday, right?
that's a Tuesday.
Yes.
So everyone but Georgette. So,
I'll-
You and Robert can go on a private tour.
Get the special tour.
yeah.
Yeah, on the roof.
So tentatively, I would suggest that, we get a press release summary, link it to the tour that we're going to get now on the Tuesday, the 31st of July, and maybe we can just approve the fact that we'll do a short press release, although I don't have a copy tonight. So I would take a motion to issue a short press release around July 31st.
I would move to issue a short press release around about July 31st.
I second the motion.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Just a question though. What's this press release supposed to look like? And is it something that we post, of course, on our website and then also newspaper?
Yes.
Or is that what it was?
Yeah, I want to get a couple photos of the actual tour, and press release would be like a one-page summary of what has happened within the school district regarding the construction, what the committee has done. The problem is trying to get it down to a short size that's succinct, that would be interesting to someone who's not followed the actions of this committee. That's actually a challenge.
I understand.
And I've struggled with it. I'm going to, get some input from John Calise, regarding the bullet items of what the school district has done regarding the construction effort. And then it's just going to take a little bit of time to go through all of our notes and stuff to kind of summarize what we have done and then make it interesting enough for a reader. But I think between now and the 31st, I can do it. And I'll circulate it amongst us for review and feedback.
Did the interim report for the audit get lost in that?
No, it's posted on our website. We'll reference that as information for people who want to review a full discussion. So it's posted on our website now, very clearly. And that's nice, because now these things are now being bulletized over on the right side of our website, and you can see it real easy.
Good. Cool.
You know, I don't know the answer to, and I don't want to digress back to the website, but, you know, if you have to go to a specific meeting to find an item, you know, it'd be great if a certain category of items would be in a section, but I think we better be thankful we got what we've got.
It's pretty easy to
It's a
find.
good
I just have
start.
it pulled up here. And it is right underneath the mission statement, all of our names. There's news, and then you just go to each one. It's pretty easy to find.
Well, as long as they're described, you know, people can look at the various meetings and they can see, you know,
It's-
what those
it's
attachments were.
Bullet point, and it says CBUC interim report year 1. So
Yeah.
it's right there, which it's not buried anywhere, so it's good.
Okay.
This one page, it shows that there's the home, and it shows the members, and then,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've looked at the, as long as we have all of our attachments in there. Just, I'm thinking about these public, if we do start getting a lot of public comments, if that,
Yeah, and it's hard too, depending on if you look at it from your phone, if you look on it on a big screen, a tablet.
Browsers.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Problems with the
okay.
electronic stuff.
Ready to
So
move
you'll-
on?
Yeah, you'll let us know then what
Yes.
time to meet over there?
I suspect it'll be around 6:30, but I'll send out confirmation. I'm going to let John Calise know that that date,
Okay,
you know,
cool.
is good for the committee,
Except for me.
except for poor Georgette.
But if you don't mind, I'm going to email John separately, just to ask for, you know, outside.
We
You
can
guys
FaceTime you in from Hawaii.
No, that's okay.
Okay, so we done with the interim report discussion? Okay. Moving on to 2E, planning for the annual year-end report.
Bless you.
So we talked a little bit about this at the last meeting with the idea that we could break it up into various sections and assign it to people to alleviate a lot of the work.
I think last time what we had discussed is it was supposed to be, we formed a subcommittee to assign topics. It was
Right.
supposed to be myself, Gary, and Tad. I don't think we just really had the chance to go through it.
Okay.
But I will be making suggestions between us three, if you don't mind, you know, later tonight. And then send it over to you, and then go ahead and disseminate as you wish, unless you guys have any other, you know, suggestions. But we really need to get going.
Yes.
So,
Is
yeah,
that
I'm sorry that we just didn't get a chance to assign, you know, the topics.
So you're going to take charge of that and get the
Yeah,
assignments
I mean,
out?
so far what I've done on, you know, was the same report that I sent out to everybody, except I've added some topics that Gary had in a different report that, you know, that we should tell the public. And so I've included that in there. And also, I think a message from the chair or vice chair, you know, just an upfront intro. And then from there, I was, you know, just going to send it on to you two with just suggestions as to who should be, what committees or subcommittees should be talking about the topics. So, I mean, it should be straightforward. It's, you know,
So you get that out by the end of the week, or what?
yeah, by the end of the week would be good.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
But I think the idea was we were supposed to send out topics to everybody. Everybody was supposed to put in their say on the draft annual report and bring it forward today, but of course we're not prepared. So the next meeting in August, we should definitely have a draft to present to the public for their input, because sometime in September is when we're supposed to maybe publish it. I'm not even sure if we're going to be ready by September. I think September should be a second draft a final draft, to confirm that the public's comments or whatever was addressed. And then we'll release the final. But I just don't know if we're going to make the September cut for the actual report, unless we're truly aggressive. But we have public involved as well, so.
Okay. So if we can get a draft by the end of August, I think that's really good. And we'll probably have to approve a final version in the September meeting, and that's probably going to be around the September 20th or thereabouts.
Right.
Or the press release, the interim report coming out, which,
Well, I think we have the interim report already posted on our website. I think the press release is kind of,
Guiding people to
guiding people
the
and,
website and to,
inform them that we are out here doing something. And I view it as more informal, but definitely a readable summary.
direct people to the website.
So did we talk about with the press release, is that, I'm going to ask the question again, I'm sorry. Is that something that we put on the newspaper or also in social media? And who's
think
doing
everywhere.
that? I wasn't sure. So who's going to be doing,
So my assignment was to work with the two newspapers, the Tribune and the Independence Voice. The social media, did we pick people for that yet?
I think I was gonna.
oh, okay.
We were gonna try to get it on the what's that
Dixon
neighbor
411.
and the neighbor one. What's the neighbor one called? I get all the time. There's that neighborhood one too. We posted to there.
Next door?
Next door. Yes, yes, yes.
It's
Put
good
it on
time.
next door, and there's Dixon 411, and basically just with a real quick
Yeah.
referral. Yeah.
and then on the Dixon Facebook page, we can link that out on the PTO pages. It's perfect timing with school coming back. Parents are going to be on there looking at all the information.
Sounds like the website committee, subcommittee.
Yep.
Definitely.
The IT.
They're all over it.
They're doing
Yeah.
social media groups.
Yeah, look at how happy they
Yeah.
are too.
So once it's all ready to go, then we can keep pushing it out there. Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yep.
Okay, so let's get back to our year-end report for September. Any other discussion on that? Okay. So let's move on to item 3, the subcommittee reports. We've already addressed some of the subcommittees. Any official items from the website committee that we haven't already talked about?
Nothing additionally.
Yeah, you touched on the one about the email. That was the
Yep.
main thing.
Yep. Okay. Contract committee, anything on that officially?
Not officially. Gary and I will just have to really review information that we've received, and I think I'm going to continue to ask additional information. I remembered that we can just email John directly
Yes.
for questions. And because there was one item that was presented to us back in March, all the figures for the construction-related portion of the bond, and the numbers just didn't match up any which way you want to add it up. And so I have concerns. So, and I want to make sure those are addressed prior to our draft report for sure.
Okay.
Other than that, there wasn't anything else that.
And are the contracts now being posted to our website or the school districts?
Not that I am aware of.
And are they supposed to be?
They should be at least providing it to us. Any contracts that they go out solicit bids for, when they are going out to bid, they should be they should be aggressively just sending us information rather than us asking
Chasing
them.
it, yeah.
Right,
It's
and
just
they're
easier.
already in the process, why not just add us,
Yeah, that's
with
easy enough,
information?
right?
Okay.
So we will be chasing.
Okay, so if you're not getting satisfaction on this, make sure you let me know, because I always go to the school board meetings after our meeting, and in the 3-minute summary where I present to them, I can just tell them, as a committee, we're not happy that we're not getting the contracts posted on either their website or our website as fast as it should happen.
Right. I mean, I don't know if they're expecting us to ask first. Like I said, they should just be.
Should be a matter of,
Right, just posting it themselves.
yeah.
So
And we
keep,
may just have to do some digging, but I prefer not to do that.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
hold that for new business for future agenda items, because we can put that on our next meeting to see if we can come up with a mechanism when John is here, and we can talk to him about it. And audit committee, I don't think there's been any action, correct?
No, but I want to mention I still haven't officially seen the letter. It hadn't been posted. It was addressed to us about the upcoming audit for the 2018-19. It was on the school board website, and I got a copy of it from there. I didn't directly, but somebody else did and gave it to me. But, you know, that's correspondence that's addressed to us. And anything that comes to the school district addressed to this committee should come to us. And then it would be included on our website too. That's why I was thinking, you know, just a section on audit for all the documentation that comes, you know, to have it separate, but.
And we can do that. We talked about that when we met with John, that there could be a tab.
Right.
Add an additional tab on the website.
Okay. Any more comments about the
I
subcommittees?
might mention that tomorrow at the.
Okay. Good. Now time for public comment on any unrelated items that were not on the agenda.
I just want to offer, if you guys want me, I can work with publisher, and if you want to have your letterhead for any correspondence you put out, letters, wherever, I'd be glad to work on it.
Wow, how nice.
And set up a letterhead for you, but you need to tell me what you're looking for.
We want it just like
so
the school
much.
board with all our names.
Yeah, right.
So,
Anything else? Just kidding.
I would suggest, you know, use your discretion and come up with 3 potential templates, and I think the committee would be more than happy to pick one.
Oh, yeah.
okay, I'd be glad to do that. And
Thank you.
what,
Thank you.
Black and white, color, what?
That black and white's good.
Because you have all of our email addresses.
Remember, we have no budget.
No color ink.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay.
I just have a question. It's not really a, when it comes to the school board meeting, if we have a comment as a committee, does that go under public comments? You know, because I understand we get a 3-minute report,
Right.
right? And then if we have an agenda item that's requesting for an action, but what if we have other comments? How does that work? Do we talk as a public, or?
So you can go there and present under their public comment section, but
Okay.
then you're speaking as yourself and not a representative of
Oh,
the committee. And that's where we get in a little bit of trouble, because unless we vote on it and make it an action item on their agenda, they really can't do anything other than just listen to you.
So I can't really represent as the committee. I should basically.
But if you had something that was, you know, important to you at a minimum, and, you know, wanted to comment during public comment on non-agenda items, so you had it, you know, on the record and out in the public, then you could certainly do that yourself, and it could relate to pretty much anything.
Yes, but the problem is they can't do anything other than listen.
But it's on the record, though.
Yeah.
If that's important, it's on the record.
I mean, like, if we're not getting contracts delivered, you can make that known to them, but, you know, unless it comes from the committee voted on, you know, they can't take an action on it. But, you know, sometimes just a public reminder, you
Right.
know, can really work its magic.
And you may not even expect any response from them as well.
Just let them know we're
Just
aware
let
of
them
it.
know. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes they'll say, we're going to add this to our next meeting as an
Right.
agenda item. They'll request that that be added next time.
Right.
I got a response from them from my email.
You're awesome, Greg.
The public can address the school board, the city council, on any item on the agenda. And even your 3 minutes presentation, someone, if they wanted to get up and ask you a question or make comments of your presentation, the public has the right to address every item on the agenda. And also the public can remove items from the consent calendar for discussion if they wanted to do so. The only agenda item that the board cannot reply or make comments is items not on the agenda. Then they can tell the superintendent or somebody, could you put it on the agenda? Could you reply, find out what this person is asking? But every other item, the public has a right to address the school board.
Right.
Okay. Any other public comment? Okay. Let's move on to item 5, unfinished business and general orders. I see nothing listed, so we'll move on to new business. Set dates and times for future meetings. So I'll email John Calise and see when we can have our August meeting. I'll get that information out to committee members as soon as possible. I will inform him we'll have our tour on July 31st, and I will be timely and ask you for future agenda items. Is there any other new business?
I just, 2 meetings ago, I suggested we might have our county treasurer come and just give the overview of the different players in this bond issue, which would have been good orientation when we first started the committee, since we are the Bond Oversight Committee, to know just how it works. And I mentioned he wasn't available last month, and we didn't schedule him for this one, and I haven't talked to him since. So because we figured we'd be, this was be just to work on mainly to talk about a report and things. But if you'd like, I will. Once we have a date, I'll contact him again and see if he'd like to come down.
I think it'd be good. I think it would be important either September or October. And again, I know it's summer, but I would really like to get more parents in the room to kind of understand the finances of all of this.
Yeah. I mentioned last time we asked a question, why are 2 outstanding bond issues now have been combined into one, so you don't really know how much you're paying for this one, but they did commit that we wouldn't be paying more than a certain dollar amount per 100,000 back. Mm-hmm. You can't look at your tax statement and tell that. They've combined it with the restructured bond for the high school when they built it. I think that was in 2016 they reissued that bond. Anyway, the exact answer from the auditor comptroller was that in 12-13, various Dixon bonds were refinanced. Okay, she said 12-13. And a new fund was created. Then in 16-17, the refunding was refunded again with a new election, and she's talking about the current bond that we're Measure Q, and decided to use the same fund. Then she says, no, that's a different one. Then in 17-18, Dixon issued another series from the 2016 election So since they're from the same election, we decided to use the same fund number, and that's why we listed as the Dixon USG GOBs on the tax bill. But that's not correct. This bond issue is totally separate from the previous one, so that was a bogus answer. And then they went on and said, I believe the new system will have the ability to consolidate tax rates too.
Oh,
And we need it because the Solano Community College bonds are getting out of control, and they do. If you look at your tax statement, they have about 6 or 7 issues. But it doesn't make sense what she's saying here. This last election for the bond, that's a total different bond measure. And so that's one thing we might get
yeah.
clarified.
You know, Gary, I asked the same question because I'm on the same floor with them. And I have a longer email, longer response, and I had told the person that sent me the response, I need to sit down with you because this does not make sense at all to me. I'm going to bring my property tax statement, and you explained, and I've sent you how Measure Q is supposed to be, how we are supposed to pay as part of, as citizens, as part of that bond, and you tell me, you please confirm for me that this is what I voted for, this is what I'm supposed to pay, and match that with what you're saying, because the response to me was a lot longer than what I'm seeing from you. I was just a little mumbo jumbo. I'm like, I understand numbers. I'm not understanding what you're telling me. So, yeah, I'm going to pursue that and talk to that division.
Yeah, because it's the auditor controller that department is, and then it just goes over the treasurer, tax collector, treasurer, and he's got another title too. They combine 3 offices.
Yes.
Then they put it on the tax rolls. And of course, they have to get information from the assessor's office, before they can do the, so maybe Chuck Lamelli can.
And invite, when you do that, public announcement of that he's going to come, bring your tax bill and ask any questions you might have.
Oh boy, he'd love that.
You should be able to.
Well,
Right?
Of course.
he's
boss.
very open. He's come
Oh, absolutely. I
he's
think
come to our taxpayers meeting before, and
he has a daughter in the district.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. He's got a new family. Okay.
So I think the committee views that idea favorably, so see if you can get it scheduled.
Okay.
Excellent.
As soon as we have get a date, and like you say, maybe that'd be use these press releases short press releases, what this committee's doing. That'd be a place to advertise it. Something short. Our next meeting at this point, and we'll have our county treasurer
Come on out.
to discuss.
Too bad, can the school district actually post a banner outside DMCS, I'm sorry, the Dixon Middle School or whatever the old high school name is, sorry, Dixon High
Middle
School?
Dixon Middle
Oh, sorry,
with
Dixon
the
Middle School,
website?
and, this is Measure Q bonds at your,
Oh,
at work and
Yeah.
with the website.
That would be
I don't know
nice.
if that's a lot of money,
It's out
but,
there now. There's something at the high school. There's something at the, I don't,
right. It doesn't
Not a
cost
bad
that
idea.
much, but,
You
I mean,
measure Q dollars at work.
right.
Exactly.
The public, I drive there all the time, and I'd like to see that there.
Bad
That's-
idea.
they do it like in winters. They have a big sign because they're doing a huge reconstruction, and there's a big sign that shows what the project is, the amount supported. So that'd be something to use as an example.
Right. So it's visual.
Yeah.
Is, yeah, people-
Yeah, it's not expensive to get those signs. They're maybe $100, $200.
The ones from the campaign were actually saved, the big large ones, so you could even just add a sticker to that.
Vinyl sticker on it and just,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the only signs posted there, I believe, is the one from the contractor who is being paid from this grant. I can't think of his name.
That's what it is. It's the, like safety, that's covering the majority of the roof and stuff. What is that other, it's a Prop 39, I think?
That's the energy saving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the one that has their sign out front. I can't think of the name of the company now.
Okay, folks, are we ready to adjourn?
Yes.
I think we are. Okay, I am adjourning the meeting.
No, he's going to check to see if.
Say, we're going to add this to our next meeting as an
Right.
agenda item. They'll request that be added next time.
Right.
I got a response from them from my email.
You're awesome, Greg.
The public can address the school board, the city council, on any item on the agenda. And even your 3 minutes presentation, someone, if they wanted to get up and ask you a question or make comments of your presentation, the public has the right to address every item on the agenda. And also the public can remove items from the consent calendar for discussion if they wanted to do so. The only agenda item that the board cannot reply or make comments is items not on the agenda. Then they can tell the superintendent or somebody, could you put it on the agenda? Could you reply, find out what this person is asking? But every other item, the public has a right to address the school board.
Right.
Okay. Any other public comment? Okay. Let's move on to item 5, unfinished business and general orders. I see nothing listed, so we'll move on to new business. Set dates and times for future meetings. So I'll email John Calise and see when we can have our August meeting. I'll get that information out to committee members as soon as possible. I will inform him we'll have our tour on July 31st, and I will be timely and ask you for future agenda items. Is there any other new business?
I just, 2 meetings ago, I suggested we might have our county treasurer come and just give the overview of the different players in this bond issue, which would have been good orientation when we first started the committee, since we are the Bond Oversight Committee, to know just how it works. And I mentioned he wasn't available last month, and we didn't schedule him for this one, and I haven't talked to him since. So because we figured we'd be, this was be just to work on mainly to talk about a report and things. But if you'd like, I will, once we have a date, I'll contact him again and see if he'd like to come down.
I think it'd be good. I think it would be important either September or October. And again, I know it's summer, but I would really like to get more parents in the room to kind of understand the finances of all of this.
Yeah, I mentioned last time we asked a question, why are 2 outstanding bond issues now have been combined into one, so you don't really know how much you're paying for this one, but they did commit that we wouldn't be paying more than a certain dollar amount per 100,000 back. Mm-hmm. You can't look at your tax statement and tell that. They've combined it with the restructured bond for the high school when they built it. I think that was in 2016 they reissued that bond. Anyway, the exact answer from the auditor comptroller was that in 12-13, various Dixon bonds were refinanced. Okay, she said 12-13. And a new fund was created Then in 16-17, the refunding was refunded again with a new election, and she's talking about the current bond that we're Measure Q, and decided to use the same fund. Then she says, no, that's a different one. Then in 17-18, Dixon issued another series from the 2016 election. So since they're from the same election, we decided to use the same fund number, and that's why we list it as the Dixon USG GOBs on the tax bill. But that's not correct. This bond issue is totally separate from the previous one, so that was a bogus answer. And then they went on and said, I believe the new system will have the ability to consolidate tax rates too.
Oh.
And we need it because the Solano Community College bonds are getting out of control, and they do. If you look at your tax statement, they have about 6 or 7 issues. But it doesn't make sense what she's saying here. This last election for the bond, that's a total different bond measure. And so that's one thing we might get clarified.
You know, Gary, I asked the same question because I'm on the same floor with them, and I have a longer email, longer response, and I had told the person that sent me the response, I need to sit down with you because this does not make sense at all to me. I'm going to bring my property tax statement, and you explained, and I've sent you how Measure Q is supposed to be, how we are supposed to pay as part of, as citizens, as part of that bond, and you tell me, you please confirm for me that this is what I voted for, this is what I'm supposed to pay, and match that with what you're saying, because the response to me was a lot longer than what I'm seeing from you. I was just a little mumbo jumbo. I'm like, I understand numbers, I'm not understanding what you're telling me. So, yeah, I'm gonna pursue that and talk to that division.
Yeah, because it's the auditor controller that department is, and then it just goes over the treasurer, tax collector, treasurer, and he's got another title too. They combine 3 offices.
Yes.
Then they put it on the tax rolls. And of course they have to get information from the assessor's office, before they can do the, so maybe Chuck Lamelli can.
And invite, when you do that, public announcement of that he's going to come, bring your tax bill and ask any questions you might have.
Oh boy, he'd love that.
You should be able to.
Well,
right?
Of course.
He's
boss.
very open. He's come
Absolutely.
he's come to our taxpayers meeting before, and
He has a daughter in the district.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. He's got a new family. Okay.
So I think the committee views that idea favorably, so see if you can get it scheduled.
Okay.
Excellent.
As soon as we have get a date, and like I say, maybe that'd be use these press releases short press releases, what this committee's doing. That'd be a place to advertise it. Something short. Our next meeting at this point, and we'll have our county treasurer
Come on out.
to discuss.
Too bad, can the school district actually post a banner outside DMCS, I'm sorry, the Dixon Middle School or whatever the old high school name is, sorry, Dixon High
Middle
School?
Dixon Middle
Oh, sorry,
Oh, with
Dixon
the
Middle School,
website?
and, this is Measure Q bonds at your,
Oh,
at work and
Yeah.
with the website.
That would be
I don't know
nice.
if that's a lot of money,
It's out
but,
there now. There's something at the high school. There's something at the, I don't.
right. It doesn't
That's not a
cost
bad
that
idea.
much, but,
You Measure Q dollars at work.
right.
Exactly.
The public, I drive there all the time, and I'd like to see that there.
Bad
That's,
idea.
They do it like in Winters. They have a big sign because they're doing a huge reconstruction, and there's a big sign that shows what the project is, the amount supported. So that'd be something to use as an example.
Right. So it's visual.
Yeah.
Is, yeah, people-
Yeah, it's not expensive to get those signs. They're maybe $100, $200.
The ones from the campaign were actually saved, the big large ones, so you could even just add a sticker to that.
Vinyl sticker on it and just,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the only signs posted there, I believe, is the one from the contractor who is being paid from this grant. I can't think of their name.
That's what it is. It's the, like, safety, that's covering the majority of the roof and stuff. What is that other, it's a Prop 39, I think?
That's the energy saving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one that has their sign out front. I can't think of the name of the company now.
Okay, folks, are we ready to adjourn?
Yes.
I think we are. Okay, I am adjourning the meeting.